All right. So once again, good afternoon or good morning to you based on the time you are checking our video. All right. So you're all welcome to facilities planning and development. Once again, you are all welcome to facilities design and facilities planning and design. So, my name, by the way, is Engineer Peter James Agada. I am a graduate of chemical engineering and industrial engineering. So I have 2 degrees, and rest assured that you are guided and enabled, or should I say, privileged to be in our class because you will learn a lot. Okay, now just to give you a few reminders and tip, and since we're having facilities, one of our criteria is you make sure that you watch the video every single time so as to appreciate the topic. So I encourage you to please listen and ask your questions. Make sure you pause the video every single time, ask your questions, and then you can continue while we go on and on. Okay. Another reminder is for as a cross requirement, this is not stated, this is within the video. I'd like to remind you that since we're having facilities planning and design, one of your output for me is to come up with a research. I expect each and every one of you, probably you do it collaboratively. Maybe we can have 2 per groups. We could have a collaborative research to so as to build your collaborative skills. Okay, we are not limited by the pandemic. Okay, pandemic should make us collaborate more with the aid of the internet. You can just set up a Google Doc and start a small research using the Westmade format. All right, I expect that from every one of you, that your research should be titled about a facility that you plan to improve. So the advice I'll be giving you now is start now. Okay, pair up with someone and you can start your research on facilities right now. So look for facilities around. If you have a sari store, if you have a park around, maybe a park somewhere close by. It's not something that will expose you to the coronavirus, something within your vicinity, okay, that you can actually improve. You talk about saving costs, and probably when we go into the topic more, you would get to understand what we are talking about. So far, if you have questions, please ask. I'll make sure I include that in our classroom so everyone can be enlightened more. So once again, my name is Engineer Peter. I'll be your professor. I'm a QAAS, Quality Assurance and Academic Specialist, okay? I rest assured that I can help you, qualified chemical engineer and industrial engineer. I'm a member of the International Association of Engineers as well, all right? I am associated, I am licensed to do that, okay? And I'm also a researcher. So rest assured, that's why our pass, or more or less our output, or should I say, it will be your final exams, because I'm not more of the exam type, I'm more of the concepts person, because you have to apply. You're a 5th-year student, some of you are 4th year or 5th year. So this is the time where you have to apply the concepts that we are teaching you so you can build and become better engineers for your future. Once again, guys, pause, ask questions, digest, and make sure you understand, okay? Now, I'll go deeply or directly into our topic for today. Our topic for today will be having, allow me to present my screen, okay? I'll be presenting my screen, so feel free to ask your questions at any time, okay? Okay, so we have, like I said, facilities planning. Our objective for today, if you cannot see my screen, just listen or make sure you have your note beside you. Okay, make sure you have your note beside you that you can follow. All right, so once again, at the end of this topic, you should all know and understand the simple definition of facilities planning and design. Once again, facilities, you understand or know the definition of a facility, planning, and design. These are three different concepts coined together. Now we have facilities planning and design. So you talk about the facilities and how you plan it, and lastly, you talk about the design. Secondly, we'll talk about the use and application, or use for you to use and apply concepts to understanding or to understand facilities planning. Okay, what concepts do you use, or what concept would I introduce to you that will broaden your mind about facilities planning? Okay, because facilities planning is one and design is another thing. Now, people, you would plan the facilities and then there will be an actual design about facilities. Next, understand why organizations plan and design. Like I said, there are two different concepts when you plan and design. These are two different actions. Planning is different, these are management skills, and design, these are engineering skills. So it's better if an engineer is associated with planning from the beginning and as well as the design, because you have familiarized yourself with the entire process. Because engineers right now are managerial skills. And welcome to IE, where you don't just do what you see, you actually plan it. That is what makes IE special, what makes us different. All right. At the end of this course as well, lastly, we should be able to cite and see relevant examples. Okay. Once again, if you have questions, please pause the video, send me your questions, and I will be really unwilling to entertain more of it. Okay. Next, so the content of everything that we'll be doing here, the content of our topic for today, if I'm too fast, guys, kindly inform me, because this will be the first video I will be posting here. All right, so we have the definitions and terms, the significance of facilities planning, we have the objective of facilities planning, we have the facilities planning process. It's a process itself. Okay, that's why it's an engineering thing as a whole. We have the strategic facility planning. Okay, mark the word strategic. Strategic, it's a different thing on its own. All right. And then we have the developing facilities planning. Okay, and then we have examples of inadequate planning. Okay, there are examples. We'll come to that. Let's hope we can run through everything quickly. Now, the very first question, like I said, we have the facility, we have the planning, and then we have the design. So what comes to your mind when you hear the word facility? Okay, now a facility can easily be defined or maybe a place. All right, it could be anywhere, a place where specific activity occurs. You could have a facility where you go watch video games. You could have a facility built maybe to sell. You could have a facility built maybe to sell. You could have a facility built maybe for people to gather. You could have a facility for research. It goes on and on. But when we hear the word facility, as engineers, what comes to our mind is a warehouse. But I'm here to let you know that it goes beyond that. Facilities could also be a school. It could be anything. Because once it has a purpose, it is a building that has a purpose, or if a purpose, it is a facility itself. Okay, so right now, let me ask you a question. Pause and answer this question on your own. Is your house a facility? As long as it brings people together, it is a facility. Okay, so your house can or is a facility. Okay, now I want you to take a look at the example of what I have on the screen. All right, if you're not following the PowerPoint, please make sure you have your PowerPoint beside you and you're listening. Look at that building there. That is an example of a house. And inside that house or a company, you would find different facilities inside of it. Your kitchen is a facility. Why? Because it contains different kind of materials for a purpose. Everything is for cooking and to make sure that the food is well kept and preserved. You see, your bedroom is a facility. Why? Because it is for sleeping. So your house generally is, as a matter of fact, is a facility. Okay? All right, so let's go on. So let's look at the chronology or the how did this word facility and design, How did it start? Where did it come from? When you think about it, we could say it's very old. It's really very old. So, but what can we say? How can we think? How far can we trace the word facility? Okay, let's look at 4000 BC. All right, we can see that the Egyptians developed what? Expertise in finding suitable locations for their pyramids, according to what? Astrological calculations. We have the mummifications where they mummified their kings. How did those pyramids come about? Those pyramids were basically to keep their mummies, their kings. You see? So that is how a facility starts. We talk about food. What about the food? Okay? How they store their food. That automatically is a facility. So far we can backdate as much as 4000 BC, even before the birth of Christ, that people are having facilities to store food because that was the initial purpose of the pyramid. Before later on it was being used for mummifications, okay, where you store the corpse that you want to preserve, those memorable people. Okay, so basically it was for food, because we can backdate that the Egyptians have existed for a very long time. All right. So next we have the 100 BC and to 100 AD. We talk about the Roman Empire. They developed fully fledged method for constructions of temple. Now, this is where the idea of a temple comes in, where the issue of gods comes in. You've heard about the Greek gods. You've heard about Alexander the Great, before the Roman Empire came, right? So the idea of worship started to come into them. And then they came together to build a place where they can worship, a temple. And then they moved on to a arena for entertainment. That is why you have the arena in the Greek place. If you can remember the arena itself, I can't remember the exact name, but that is still part of one of the great architects of the world today, okay? And other buildings. You could talk about how the whole idea of having a community, if some of you are living in a barangay or maybe a village, that, as a matter of fact, bringing residential buildings together has become a facilities. Because why? You are bringing people together and you have a specific purpose. I hope we're together, guys. Once again, if I am too fast, please pause. All right? So you can apprehend or understand exactly what I'm saying. Now, let's go on to the Industrial Revolution. We talk about the 1700s to the 1900s. We talk about now, this is the Industrial Revolution, where companies are coming together to build companies. We have to store what we are doing, our finished product, our raw materials. So those times, people have to think of having an extra piece of land to facilitate or to keep those things together, because you have the rain that will damage those goods. Depends on the kind of materials you want to keep. You have thieves that will steal them. So you have to keep them safe. Your raw materials, your finished goods, and even the ones you use for processing. Okay? So it goes on and on. So facilities is a very interesting topic. As a matter of fact, we do it every day. You can easily identify or locate a facility that you can improve. So all you need to do is start now. All right? Start now. I need a research, guys, for a facility, and I need the planning. So you can start as we go along in the process. I would show you or tell you how you can improve that. All right? You can start now. Have a group partner, maybe two of you or one of you, and then improve the process. Let me know. Okay, so we move on to the 1910. The 1910 was when the first industrial engineering textbook, The Factory Organization, by Hugo Diemer. This is when this guy came up with the concept. Oh my God, we have been keeping things. How do we manage? Because it's all about management. If you listen to the book, it was factory organization and administration. This is when people realized that we need to have an office set aside to administer our facilities, to manage the organization. So management skills is part of processing, is part of controlling. You give orders. So as engineers, we started to plan for our facilities, because why? If you manage your facilities properly, you could maximize your profits. Managing your facilities well will help you shorten or maximize your profits and minimize your costs. Once again, proper management of your facilities could help you maximize your profits because you keep the machine long and minimize your costs. Because one, repair costs, maintenance. What about the cost of even buying a new one? So you see the whole idea of having facilities and properly managing them. All right. So we move on and then to the 1930, where we have the guy Henry Ford. Oh my God, this guy has really done so much in industrial engineering. In the world of engineering, we hear about Henry Ford. He has his own company where he pays people one of the highest wage to make the Ford. And till today, we still have the Ford vehicles. We have Ford still existing. It all started because of this guy. He had to make a facility where he keeps his cars, his equipment, and everything was well located, covered. They have good pay. They were happy to do their job. So facilities was not more of the problem, but what? He was missing out on something. He was missing out on so many things. Henry Ford as a person. He was not more or less smart. He just got smart people to work for that. Like I said, guys, you don't really have to be smart, but you can actually buy intelligence. But you are lucky and you are blessed that you have both intelligence and the resources. So you could be anything or anyone you want to be. I hope we're together, guys. So now let's move on. Now, facilities planning, guys, is a very popular. It is complex, a broad subject with the following engineering professions. Okay, we have civil engineers, we have facilities there, electrical, industrial engineers, mechanical, architects, consultants, general contractors, managers, real estates, urban planners, all involved in facilities planning. Now, what is facilities planning? I can easily define facilities planning with all that I've explained so far. Facilities planning should already come to your mind. A concept, a definition, something, an idea should spark in your mind that facilities planning determines how tangible this fixed cost best supports the activity objective. What do I mean by that? Now, your fixed cost, an example of your fixed cost is your machinery. Okay, so how activities tangible fixed asset best support the activity objective. For example, you have a machine. Okay, that's a fixed cost. It's tangible because why? It can generate revenue for you immediately. So how best can you maximize? How well can you use it without destroying it to make sure that what? It gives you its optimal what? Efficiency. As we can see, there's no process that is 100% efficient, but we're trying to look for what? The optimal, the highest. Okay, as industrial engineer, we're trying to maximize all processes, and we could also maximize people, machines, the 5 M's. We have to maximize everything. I think it's 4 M's. Okay, we have to maximize every single thing. The man, the method, the machineries, the money. We maximize it to make sure that we get the best, and therefore we can what? If we maximize it, we can minimize the cost, and then our profit is higher. Okay, so then what is planning itself? Planning determines your course or your direction, the direction of the organization, the person, ahead of time for efficiency whenever you make decision. And design is what? More or less a technical detail. More technical. As engineers, you should be able to interpret and understand what design is. So this is a process of planning. You have meaning. As when you plan, you must have a meaning, a definition, a nature. Okay, the nature of what you are doing. These are more or less the 5 Y's and 1 H. The scope. Is it important? And what process? When you talk about the process, we're talking about the design already. So more or less, you're following something. Now, what is the significance of planning? Can you see those people struggling for money on top of it? Now, there's this popular adage that says, he who does not plan, plans to fail. Now, if you do not plan, you're already planning already. Why? Because you were planning to fail. So subconsciously or consciously, you are already planning. Either you're aware of the process or not aware of the process. As long as there is a course of action, you are either going to succeed or fail. And you can even plan to fail by planning. You can plan and still fail. That is fine because why? You have planned. But once you do not plan, you just decide to jump in any process, there's a very low possibility of you succeeding, even with intelligence. Okay? So in order to understand facilities planning, you must ask yourself the following questions. Okay? What impact does facility planning have on handling and maintenance costs? Why do I need to plan? If I plan, does it have an effect on material handling? Does it have an effect on how we handle those machines or the place or the people or the money or even the maintenance cost? Because when we're planning, everything should have effects. We should look at what the cost and effect. If you remember your cost and effect, when you do your cause and effect, you could draw something that is causing a problem. Okay? Now, what impact does facilities planning have on employee morale? You know, when you have a very organized company, when people come there, they're hyped. Now, what's the difference between, for example, what is the difference between the Philippines and the United States? Someone will tell you, sir, the United States has more facilities. It is a beautiful place, very clean, very organized. What have you done? Your morale, your mindset is more relaxed. You are set. Your mindset is more set to achieve. You believe that you can do better in that kind of environment. Because why? The environment has been built or designed to boost your morale, your intellect. Okay, and therefore you can perceive and even see more and more opportunities. Now, next, in organizations, or in what do organizations invest the majority of their capitals, and how convertible is your capital once invested? Okay, you could ask yourself this question: why do we have to invest? Or facilities planning enables you to determine what course of direction, where should you invest your money, what should you buy, and what should you not buy. Okay, it helps you determine how well this machine should last. Okay, let's say we're going to buy this machine in the next 5 years. So let's invest this cost in raw materials. Let's invest this in people. Let's invest this in people. In trying to make ourselves better. Let's build the morale. Let's training. Let's do more training. So facilities gives you that direction when it comes to cost, because it talks about the capital and how convertible is your capital. Nowadays, people are investing in people. Companies are investing in their people because they consider it the greatest asset of all. If your people are happy, your company will go far, in as much as you plan. If you remember, the land labor capital entrepreneur, the entrepreneur has the highest percentage because what? They are the major controllers of the factors of production. Okay, so we go on next. And what impact does facilities planning have on the management of a facility? So you need to understand the impact of facility planning. It is imagine a very big old company. You wouldn't want to go there because you believe the equipment are outdated. You have to push yourself. Imagine a modernized process as compared to a traditional or old method. You would want to sit at home and just press a remote and enjoy how the process goes. Then using your hand and your force to work. These are two different processes. Okay? Now next, we talk about the impact of the facilities on facilities' capability to adapt and satisfy future requirements. Okay? Now, this is the flexibility of the company itself or the organization itself. They have to be adapting. Every organization should be flexible. As an industrial engineer, and you plan to have a business in the future, Let me advise you, your business, if it must survive, it should be flexible, very flexible. Okay, because today and tomorrow the needs of people are changing. Economics tells you that what people's wants or needs are unlimited. So tomorrow I may want this, next tomorrow I might want that one. So what would you do? Would you go out? No. So you should have machineries that can switch from producing ice cream to chocolate. You should have machineries that can stop from producing motor cars to moto. So you see the process, the flexibility what should come in. So facilities what gives you those ideas and direction. So just the significance of facility planning, as you can see those two people dragging for one cash there, it's very important. Facilities have a very big impact on cost. So why the US is what it is today, one time they decided to spend over $1.038 trillion to build structures and facilities. They invested it. You have people investing on structures and capitals in the United States since 1955. And what has happened? 8%. It has increased the GDP of the country, the GNP, I mean, by 8%. And the GDP is what? You cannot compare. US is one of the powerful countries in the world. It is the number one. And then China is number two, regardless of what is happening today. You cannot compare what facilities has done to the US. Okay? So imagine if the Philippines should come into the light of having that kind of facility. You will be you will be ahead of any other companies. All right? So let's go on. Now, the objective, okay, facilities planning is to achieve the following activities. One, facilities location. This is to determine the location in which considered all factors affecting delivery to customers, cost of the product, and manufacturer be minimized. Now, why do we need to plan, to have facilities planning? Because why? We have to think about a suitable location, a location whereby the cost, we look at all factors considered that will affect that will make us not reach our customers. Because when you have a facilities, you have people in mind. You don't expect to build your bedroom very far away. When you're tired, okay, you expect to have your bedroom very close so that when you're tired, you can just easily crawl or even just throw yourself there. Or maybe 10 steps, you're already in your bedroom, or 20. But if it's too far away, then the objective is not met. So whatever you're building, you must consider what? Who are you building it for? What are you building it for? All right, that's why we talk about why are you building it? What do you want to achieve? So the aim of the planning comes into play. Okay? So as much as what? In other words, to be minimized. Cost should be minimized. Okay? Now when we talk about design objective, I'll talk more about other things, okay? Let's talk about this. When we talk about design objective now, what are the typical types of what? Design objectives or facilities design objective. We talk about one, they support the organization vision through improved material handling. Okay, I believe everyone should know what material handling is. You did that in QMS. Am I correct? Okay, and we talk about material control and good housekeeping. This is your 5S. So when you design, you should always think about how would you manage your material. Okay, material, how would your personnel do proper material handling, material control, and good housekeeping. Make sure nothing is shattered, because what you're talking about what? That's safety. Safety, time, proper movements, and to make sure the quality is being maintained. So now you see the essence of facilities. It talks about the people, your product, the quality, the cost, and safety. So you maximize or effectively use the people, the equipment, space, and as well as even the energy. Okay, if a machine is designed to last for 10 years and it is being overused, it won't last for 10 years anymore. All right, so we talk about how much do you invest. In other words, if you can manage your facilities, if you have a good design objective, your capital investment is minimized. Okay, now another reason for our design objective that we have to consider is adaptability and promote ease of maintenance. When we say something it can easily adapt, it means it can what? It can dive in, it can suit any condition that you put it to. And now when you talk about maintenance, it should be able to what? To last for the lifespan that you made that machine or equipment or that facilities for. Okay, for example, you have a car. The lifespan of every car, according, I think it's about 20 years. So you should be able to use your car for 20 good years without complaining too much. If you don't effectively manage that car properly, I think that car will not last for 20 years. How about your cell phone? You're supposed to use your cell phone. I think some people say it's 2 years. Some people, when they buy their cell phone, they've started going to the repair shop. Why? Because you are not managing those cell phones properly. You're not giving them the right type of maintenance that is necessary, and so on and so forth. Lastly, you talk about the employee safety and job satisfaction. Okay, so you have to consider the people as well when you plan. Now imagine that guy seated there. Imagine that guy seated there. That is a good facilities, but that is not a good design. Why? Because why? You have, imagine if there were limiters, there were side beams that will restrict that guy from stretching his leg too much. What happens? That guy would not stretch his leg, and everyone probably would be comfortable if that facility was properly designed. So when you have people or customers, or you have an objective as such, as you can see on your screen, what you need to do is properly design so as to avoid issues. All right. Now that same singularity thing, you may ask me, so what is the effect of this on my company? That is total, that is this dissatisfaction of your customers, and you are losing customers. They come and then, oh, I'm not going to see today. I'm not going to see today. And tomorrow he finds a customer who gives him the proper treatment, the proper chair with air con blowing him. What do you think? Services now takes him to another facility. So you are losing your customers already. So when you plan to succeed. Okay? So next. So we talk about the facilities planning process. Now, as you can see, already facilities is planned only once. It is frequently replanned. Okay, so it is frequently replanned to synchronize the facilities. It is constantly changing. Why? Because the objective of the corporation should also change. Okay, every time you have a different objective, you have to plan. So it goes on and on. And that is why you have the engineering design process, because you are continually improving processes. It goes on and on and on. All right. So now what is the hierarchy? Now, what is this hierarchy of facilities planning? Now we have the facilities planning. It starts from the facilities location. Okay. When facilities planning comes to your mind, you think of number one, the location, the design, and then those things. And then the location is there. You think of how it will be. You think about the structural design. You think about the layout. Okay, you must have done all this before, but we will talk about it now. So you talk about the handling system design. Okay, how do you want it to be handled? Okay, now when you say location, it is simply the placement of the facilities with respect to customer. Okay, you're thinking about where the customer, the supplier, and others. Next, you talk about the structure. Okay, what is being needed, and you talk about the layout. Then you talk about the handling system. Okay, kindly read all of these materials. Now let's talk about facility planning process. When we say facilities planning process, it's into its 6 steps already. It's very important we know the 6 steps. Now you have to define a process. Now, what do I mean by facilities planning process? Before you start a facility, what are the processes involved? Before you can actually say, let me have a more better or efficient facilities, what and what is necessary? Okay, you look at the people, you look at what problem, what is it, why do you need that? For example, I don't know if most of us has parents, because I grew up having a parents that always ask me why. Okay, for example, you want a notebook, or you want chocolate, or you need some money to accomplish some things, and then you ask your parents. That idea that you're giving your parents is your objective already, and then they ask you what the first thing you do is to what, define the problem, and then your parents will think, they will think, why do you need that thing? And then they try on their own to ask you why. First, you define, Daddy, I want this. Next, you analyze. They ask you, why do you want that? And then you start telling them, because I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. So automatically, when you talk about facilities, you're already generating alternative design, other types of design. Yeah, and then your dad will tell you, oh, why don't you do this? Why don't you wait till next week? Or maybe when I get my salary, or when I get my sahod, or something else. Okay, don't mind my Filipino. I can speak Filipino sometimes, okay? But I think since we're international, this is Westman International School, let's stick to English for now. Okay, don't mind my feet. Okay, and then you go on to evaluate the alternative. You have different solutions to your problem. Your dad will give you different solution. If he's a strict parent like mine, he'll tell you, go work. Okay, number 3, he'll tell you, go work. When you tell him why, he'll tell you, go work. You think I pick money from the 3? Go ask your mom. Go do this, go do that in order to get your objective or your problem. Okay? This is the pattern or the system that you could use to do your research already. Next, you evaluate which is more better. When you evaluate, and then you now select the best in terms of savings, in terms of cost, utilization, the people, the quality, every other factors involved, better than the initial process. And then you finally implement. Okay? So now next, to strategic, we're still talking about this. Now we're talking about the strategic farm facility planning. This is basically to help managers do better, okay, and ensure that all employees working together with the same mission and vision. The strategic process could be a 2 to 5 years plan, depending on the objective. As you said, we encompass the objective, understand the vision and the mission of that company, and to make sure that we have one-time facilities planning that can cover the whole time. Okay, what are the equipment needed for that strategic planning? Because this is a management decision. When you say strategic for a company or for an organization, or even for yourself, because you as a family, you do strategic planning. What do you need for the whole year? For example, that is strategic planning. What do you need? Your parents will plan for you. What do you need for college? Because college is 5 years. And then they and see if they can provide your needs. And then they cut down expenses. Those are examples of what parents do, and that's why we call them strategic family planning or strategic facility planning. Okay, so you have to relate those concepts to your family, and then you can find relevant ideas. Okay, so the steps when you have in strategic planning is number one, you have to understand, analyze, do a bit of planning, and then you act. Okay, so what do you understand? When you understand, you need to know your objective. You need to know the organization's mission, vision, values, goals. What is it? The what? Okay, so you have to follow what? Make sure you check if it's an organization, you follow the finance performance of the company, you check the customer's knowledge of that company, how well do people know of that, you check the business process, and how well does the company grow. And next, you do your analysis. Okay, so your analysis could be a SWOT analysis, it could be a systematic layout planning. You just explore, check possible things, do explorations of things that is needed to make the organization better. So, but you have to what? Be analytical. You have, if it's distance, you're calculate the right distance. If it's the cost, you have to calculate the distance as proportional to the cost. You have to calculate as proportional the lifespan of the machine, if it's effective, or you're suggesting you get a better one that is cheaper. Why on the long span this is better? Things like that. Those are your analysis. And then you plan. Okay, when you plan, do we get this equipment? No, we can get it after this one dies. For now, we can do maintenance. We can do periodic maintenance. So you have to update. You let people know. And then when you have a plan of action, now you have to act on it. You take action, possessiveness of whatever you have planned. You implement it immediately. And then cost is being saved. People are being saved. Quality is being managed. And so on and so forth. Okay. Now, when you develop facility planning, okay, you can pause, take a break, always come back. All right. But I'll just go straight through the whole process just to save our time and every other thing. Now, when you develop facilities planning, you have to come up, you have to remember that what? You have to plan that some pairs, some departments should be adjacent. Now, I want you to imagine, have you been to the faculty room before? The faculty. Probably, if you have a very big faculty, you'd realize that they are on a straight line. There is one line in between. Now, if you look at it, they are, sometimes it's more like adjacent to each other. So it has to be determined in such a way where you can easily reach out to from one person to another. How one processes, relates or interrelates with one another. So when you plan, you have to consider if departments or pairs should be placed adjacent or maybe not adjacent. Check the word as adjacent, okay? Why some departments are only in specific locations? Why is HR where HR is? You get the point. Why is the president office where the president office is? It's probably because the HR, number one, is trying to reach out to all departments. So it should be more or less the central. Why is your MIS where it is? Because everyone, it is suitable at that point because of the server. You have to have a reason why it needs to be there. Do you have constraints, existing buildings? Do you have blockages that you have to, oh, this cannot be. Why is the toilet where it is? You get the point. You get why it's like that, okay? And you have the OSHA, okay? There are OSHA regulations. You can check that out. OSHA, all right? Now, importance of facilities planning. When you have facilities planning, it's basically number one, to remove poor quality products. Okay? To lower, you're trying to eradicate or remove or not have low employee morale. So when you plan, the morale of the employees is boosted. It is high. Just like the example I use when you go to the United States. And then lastly, customers' satisfaction. Remember, your product, the quality, the cost, the spending, the expenditure, which are part of your quality. As industrial engineers, we're both product conscious and quality conscious. Okay, and you talk about your employee. You did agronomics. You did so many other products. You've done process production systems. It goes on and on. Why are you doing that? Part of those things that you are doing is what? To help the employee suitable for the job. You're not making the job suitable for the employee. You make the employee suitable for the job. And there he can be happy, excited to work. Okay? And then lastly, no customer dissatisfaction. Try to make your customer happy. You're building your facilities. You know, when you have a facilities that customers are happy, you have profits. You're succeeding. Now, so what are the applications of facilities planning? When you have applications, for example, a new school, assembly department, existing warehouse already, the baggage point of an airport, production plant, retail store, and so on and so forth. Okay? Now, kindly make reference to your notes. There are more processes there. Okay? Now, take a look at this picture here. What can you see? This is basically a hazard. Okay? And this can result if there are no proper facilities planning. This guy, even if he recovers, as you can see, the morale of that employee is lower. Why? Because he does not feel safe in the environment. Two, because that guy has been trapped in that machine needs to be repaired. What have you done? You have affected or directly or indirectly contributed what to the quality or reduced the quality of your product. Three, if customers should find out about this, they will run away. So you have lost your customer by dissatisfying them. You have lost quality. You stopped production because of this guy. And what happened? What have you done? So when you properly plan for this, reorganize this machine in such a way that it doesn't have to be through that way. There are other machines that it could be through the center, or it could have a protector. It is all part of the process. So when you do facilities, everything is important. Cost savings, maximizing your costs. I mean, minimizing your costs could come from anywhere or anyone. Now look at these guys here. Imagine what they're doing. Look at that guy even on top of that cylinder. Look at that guy on top of it. What do you think he's doing? I think now I wouldn't think in my mind. Look how thick that metal is, and look at the equipment that is trying to pull it up. Now this is as a result of poor facilities planning. We could see more examples as even traffic in the Philippines. Philippines is not properly planned. I could say that the Philippines isn't properly planned. That's why we have so much traffic. So every time you get people coming up with different ideas, but is that idea a long-term idea or is it a short-term? Because people are buying cars every single day. So that is why you have to think about the flexibility of the process. That's why I put that metal there. There is the mentality that metal will fall. So it fell down there. And look at the guy even standing on top. What is it? Look at the guys that are trying to pull. What are they doing? It makes no sense. They're trying to do something weird there. So when you plan, it has to be long, the flexibility, the process should be smooth, and everything should go well. Okay? All right. So I think this will be our last. Okay, so a good website won't fix a bad problem. Let me end with this, guys. If you have any questions, please make sure you ask me. Kindly send it on the chat. Once again, a good website would never fix a bad process. All right, no matter how good the website is. Look at that cat there. It's been dressed like a lion. Okay, when you see that thing, when you run away, you know it's a cat. Alam mo naman, pusa mo yan, pusa yan. It's not a lion. So no matter how you dress it up, it will never look like a lion. It will never be a lion. It will only meow at the end of the day. Okay? So once again, guys, my name is Engineer Peter James. All right? So get ready And welcome to facilities planning and design. I'll see you on our next topic. And so far, you guys are doing great. So have a wonderful day, guys. I hope you enjoyed our topic for today. And thank you all. Thank you all, and do have a pleasant day. See you in our next class.